and he still just looks like $1 million, you know. With me, it's jeans and a t-shirt, and I throw this blazer on just to try to look a little better. Before I got here, I had this sweatshirt thing on, you know, so that was it. But anything else I want to say? Oh, one more. I'll say something about Fisher, too. The reason I told Fisher to dumb it down a little bit is he was embarrassing me because he knew so much more about the business than I did. So I said, keep it simple, man, because I didn't want everybody to realize I didn't know as much as he did. But anyway, guys, I'm a high school basketball coach by trade. I coached for 16 years at Lakeview High School in Garland, Texas. I loved it, did it with a passion, felt like I helped some of my kids. Never made a whole lot of money. But I wouldn't take it for those 16 years. But I finally came to the realization that the Mavericks, Lakers, Sixers, none of those NBA teams were going to call me. So I was trying to figure out what I could do to make a buck or two. And a friend of mine showed me this deal. I didn't understand all those numbers when I saw it. I couldn't have explained it if my life had depended on it when I saw that the first time. But I had two simple thoughts. One, I kept going, that might work. That was my thought, that might work. The other thing is, I thought, I've wasted $300 on a lot worse things. I mean, that was kind of the two thoughts that went through my mind when I saw this deal. So I decided, hey, I'm going to give this thing a shot. So I thought, I'm going to do this. So I had a goal. I'm big on goals. I had a goal. I want to make $1,000 a month. I thought if I could make $1,000 a month, I could pay down some credit card bills. I'm sure none of you guys have any credit card bills, but there in Texas, we had credit card bills, and it was like they charged you 400% interest, you know? It was like you could never pay them suckers down. Can anybody relate? Do y'all speak English on this side? I mean, I'm having trouble here. I mean, I'm saying some good stuff, and y'all just staring at me, huh? Listen, I came all the way from Texas, and my wife, when I talked to her today, she said it was 73 degrees, and she's out by the swimming pool, okay? I'm up here in the 19-degree weather, which is laughing at me a little bit. Jeez Louise.
We're enjoying you.
You're enjoying me. Just soaking it all in. What was I talking about? I'm going to be so rattled now. $1,000 a month. Thank you. I wanted to make $1,000 a month, so I started talking to people. Do you realize that the prerequisite in this business is you got to be able to do this, you got to be able to flap your lips a little bit. And I said hello to just about everybody in here, and I think everybody in here had the prerequisites to do this business because everybody could talk a little bit. I just started talking to people. Hey, I got something I want to run by you. Hey, I got something I want to get your opinion on. Hey, I got something I want to talk to you about. And I just showed them the business. That's all I did. It took me 6 months, but I finally went to the mailbox, pulled an envelope out, and by golly, there was a check that had a comma in it. I have never been so excited to see a comma in my whole life. I have a residual check with my name on it and a comma. I was pumped up, but I used to go to church with Zig Ziglar, and Zig would always say, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you're going to see further. Zig was right. When we got into $1,000 a month, I could see 3. Went to work again, got it to 3, I could see 5. Got it to 5, I could see a little further, I could see 10. And as Steve pointed out, been blessed to make a whole lot of money in this thing, guys. When I'm up here telling you we can make some money, I'm not going, I think we can. I'm telling you, I know we can make some. And I've got a lot of good stuff to talk to you about. And I'm going to try to do it all in about 5 or 10 minutes. So y'all got to listen real fast, okay? We've all heard of Apple and Amazon and Virgin, and we've heard all those companies, haven't we? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a math teacher, don't like to read, but I've been reading because I like to grow. So I've been reading about Apple and Amazon and Virgin. Do you realize all those companies had lots of trouble? Do you realize Virgin just almost went out of business? Do you realize that Amazon, Jeff Bezos, they almost didn't make it? I mean, and Amazon's now just the darling out there, And Apple, y'all remember Apple? Years ago, it was Apple. Boy, Apple was a big deal. And then you realized Apple plateaued, and they even told Steve Jobs to get lost. Y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. But Apple came back, and what? They're now the darling again. Do you realize no matter what business you're in, do you realize you're never going to have that hockey stick growth forever? It's not going to just continue forever. You're going to plateau a little bit, and you'll take off again like Apple did. And then you'll plateau a little bit, and you'll take off again. Stream has had one heck of a run for years. They've been in that hockey stick growth. And then we plateaued just a little bit, just like every company does. But here's what I want to talk to you about. We got a new, and I forget if it was Brian or Steve that talked about our new chief sales officer, which in other words, he's the guy in charge of the networking side of it, Pat Johnston. Guys, I'll carry his flag any day of the week because he's got this company going in the right direction with the networking side. I am pumped up about Pat Johnston and what he's done. Watch what happens at Ignition, guys, and you need to be there, by the way. You need to be there. We have a once-a-year convention, and it's fun as all get out, but you need to be there. But Pat Johnston is going to unveil the new stream at that point in time. And then for you guys, how many were there last night to hear Larry talk, our new CEO, a bunch of you? We've got a new CEO, Larry Mundy. I don't know if you guys remember Comp USA. Y'all remember, or no, is that it, Comp USA?
Yeah,
Comp
Comp
USA.
USA.
Y'all remember Comp USA?
Yeah.
Larry was there when they were at 150 million or 170 million, something like that, and helped take them as CEO and president to 7 billion. 7 billion, from 170 million to 7 billion. That guy then went to the auto parts, GSK Auto Parts, and took them from nothing to 2 billion. You know what what the board of directors told him they wanted him to do with us? Wanted to take us like through the roof, you know, up into the stars. They want him to take us to the, not 1 billion like we do now, but they want billions and billions and billions. Now here's the good part. You realize if this company goes from 1 billion a year to say 5 billion a year, do you realize who has a chance to make a boatload of money?
We do.
Us sitting in this room, guys. But here's the whole deal. Steve and I sat in a meeting 11 years ago. First meeting ever for this company. First meeting ever for this company. There were 50 of us in this room. Probably not quite as many as on this side. I don't know how many sitting here, but about this many people were sitting there at that first meeting. But the company was a little shaky at that point in time. They were trying to figure out the name, the comp plan. They were trying to figure out the rates. They were trying to figure out up from down. They were trying to figure out everything. And so many people out of that 50 decided, oh, I'm going to sit around and wait and see what happens. I'm going to sit around and wait and see what they do. I'm going to sit around and wait and see if they're really as good as they say they are. You know what Steve and I did?
Don't wait.
We decided that this thing had a chance. No guarantees, but it had a chance. And we got out there and busted our rear when everybody else was sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting to see what happened. Most of those 50 are gone now. And the ones out of that 50 that stayed are millionaires. Now, you say, why are you telling us that? Here's why I'm telling you that. You know, I was talking about hockey stick growth, right? We had that growth going straight up, killing records, setting records for getting to $1 billion and all that. Then we plateaued a little bit. But here's what happened with Pat Johnston and Larry Mundy. We're fixing to have that next hockey stick growth curve. In this room, there are going to be some people that run for the next few months that take advantage of that, like Steve and I did 11 years ago. And there's going to be people that say, well, I'm going to sit around and see if those guys can really do it or not. Guys, you don't want to buy Apple stock after it's already tripled. You got to understand, if you're wanting to make big money, you take a chance and you run with something when it's in its infant stage. Like right now, we're at that turn where it's just fixing to turn, and when we hit ignition, it is going to be crazy. 2016 is going to be a big year for us, but 2017 is going to be the one that just sets us apart and when they start writing books about this company. If you want to make a lot of money, you got to understand the timing of what's going on right now. And understand, Steve, me, Brian, we don't have to be here, guys. We've made millions of dollars. But I also, somebody the other day, they said, well, if you really made all that money, why are you still working? And I said, I don't know how much enough is, but I ain't there yet. I mean, let's get real. I want some more too. But you got to understand, I don't have to be here. I can be in that 70-something degree weather back in Texas. But I understand what's fixing to happen, and there's a reason that I'm sitting here with you guys tonight. We're going to go to Miller's Ale House and have a good time tonight and all that. There's a reason I'm here. Because I want to take advantage of that, because I think what we've done the last 11 years will pale in comparison to what we do in the next few years. But it's going to take people with vision. You realize vision is really seeing what other people don't? That's really what vision is. See, so many people, they want, oh, I want to see it. Well, by the time you see it, you're too late. I mean, let's just get real. You can make a few bucks. I'm not saying you can't. You can make a few bucks. But if you're wanting to make lifestyle, life-changing kind of money, it's time now to get to going. We got to have that vision. Now, here's my question for you. Don't raise your hand. Just sit there and look at me. But how many people in this room really want to change their life? Really. Don't raise your hand. Just in your heart, decide if you really want to change your life. Because I would say, if you're like me when I was teaching and coaching, I would say most people like me in this room, if you were truly honest with yourself, you're leading a life right now you never intended to live. If you're real honest with yourself, that's me. When I was teaching and coaching, I never dreamed I'd be struggling to pay the bills all the time. Never crossed my mind, and most of mine and Jeannie's fights would be because of money. Never crossed my mind that I'd always be telling my kids no because I couldn't afford it. Guys, I'm telling you what, let's be honest. If we're really honest, I bet most of us are leading that life we never intended to live. But here's the neat thing, we can change it. But you've got to make a decision that you want to change your life if you really want to change your life. I don't think we just by happenstance change things. We've got to change ourselves. Here's the whole key. You want to know the key to success? It's this. You got to look in the mirror and say, if it's to be, it's up to me. Amen. The best piece of advice I ever got was from my cousin, Manny Carter. I got a huge extended family, huge family. I got cousins I don't even know. I mean, gazillions of cousins. Manny's the only one in my whole family. He's about 10 years older than me, and he's the only one that's made anything out of himself. And I remember I went to Manny and I said, Manny, I'm tired of struggling. What do I need to do? And Manny looked at me and he said, Presley, if you want more, you got to become more. So I'm going to make the same statement to you because this was life-changing to me. Maybe it'll be life-changing to you. If you want more, you got to become more. You got to understand that you don't chase success, you attract success by the person you become. So here's what we